I'm Kenneth L. Johnson, host of the Urban League Job Network Digital Career Success Series. Thanks for joining us today, March 18th, for a supportive and educational Urban League's Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series session. This online event is brought to you by Tyson Foods. Let me share a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Kenneth L. Johnson. I'm your host and president of East Coast Executives, the world's top diversity recruitment firm based here in Harlem, New York. I'm a Google Learning Center and Forbes career coach and host of the Career Seekers Show on 106.5 WPPM FM in Philly. I'm coming to you today live from my home, actually, in Harlem, New York. I'm practicing social distancing, but I'm really happy to be here in Harlem, future home of the National Urban League. So yes, even the most historically significant organizations can indeed flip the zip.
I like that.
Today, you'll learn how you can relocate for your career as a diverse professional with guest speaker Skyra Thomas of FlipThe Zip. So here's the story, right? So while preparing to flip from New York to Houston, founder Skyra Thomas discovered a lack of community and information solely focused on relocation. In August of 2016, a mere month after Skyra's flip to Houston, FlipThe Zip was created to support others the way in which she needed when preparing for such a huge transition. I'm excited today to have her here. Skyra, how's everything going?
Everything's going well. Also working from home, practicing my social distancing as well.
So home is Houston.
Yeah.
So home is Houston.
Home is Houston, Texas. Absolutely.
Wait, so are you originally from Houston?
I'm not. I'm from New York. I was born in New York. I was raised in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Went to college in Huntsville, Alabama, grad school in Boston, lived in
Wow.
the area. So I've definitely flipped the zip a number of times.
I see. I'm really excited. Listen, tell our listeners as they come on, tell them who you are. Who's Skyra Thomas?
So I'm a mother. I am a Houstonian now. I'm a leader, and I love what I do. I get to really inspire women, mostly women. I will be honest, most of our members are women. Every day across the country, and inspiring them to flip the zip. It's a big passion project for me. It started when I was in my transition of moving from New York to Houston. I moved without a job, which is something I'll talk about later.
Wow.
And started the platform because there was a need. I couldn't believe that there wasn't a space where people could really talk about relocation and all of the fears and get resources and support. So I created it, and that's where we are now.
That's exceptional. I know I'm excited because this is a really interesting DCSS format, because at 12:45. Piper Anderson from Tyson Foods will come on and present some opportunities out in Arkansas, encouraging people to indeed flip the zip. So excited to package the information that you'll share with the information that Piper will share at the end.
I'm excited to talk to Piper as well. I'm excited to hear more about Arkansas. I talk to people all the time. Many people tend to move to big cities, popular cities, to New York, to Houston, to Dallas and Atlanta. And I always encourage people to think outside the box and to consider places like Arkansas. So I'm excited to hear about what Piper and Tyson have to offer.
Definitely. Well, tell me this, right? I'm really interested in hearing this. What's the story behind the name?
So in a true millennial fashion, I was coming up with a hashtag to kind of chronicleize my journey, and Flip the Zip just came to me, and it started out as a hashtag to a couple of posts I posted about my move. And then when I thought about the platform, I just thought that Flip the Zip would be a great name for it, and it was catchy, and I liked it, and so I stuck with it.
I'm glad you stuck with it. I had the opportunity to take a look at the website. I'm encouraging everyone, of course, to stay on with us right now, but I'm encouraging everyone to take a look at the website. As you were walking through your process and you kind of decided, all right, Flip the Zip is really more than a hashtag. I'm going to bring this out as a platform. Why did you in particular see the need for the platform?
Because I realized that even though I had moved several times life from as a child and through education pursuits, that there was a need to connect with other people, to talk about the things that when I relocated, I lost 100 relationships, right? You lose your doctor, your attorney, your barber, all those resources that you don't want to have you don't want to take the chance and kind of figuring it out, winging it out. And so connecting with people who are also newcomers to a city was the reason why I created it. I know that a lot of fear around relocation. You're used to living in your hometown with your friends and family. So having a space where people could have a relationship with people before they even got to their new city was important. Also, jobs. People need, when it comes to relocation, the first thing people talk about is like, where am I gonna work? And so having a space where people can connect with others around employment opportunities, recruiters, and network opportunities was important to me.
All right, I'm going to have to talk to you about that recruiter piece pretty soon. I want to be
Yeah.
on the FlipThe Zip platform. All right, so listen, so it's kind of, about a community, right?
Yeah.
But when you talk about that purpose, I guess you're talking about resources as well. Like really, that's the big piece of the platform. Am I correct?
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about some of the purpose behind the resources.
Okay, so I guess I'll step back a little bit and talk about like the beginning process of relocation of FlipThe Zip.
Sure.
Right. So for me, it was really about creating a why. Why is it necessary for me to? Why am I moving from New York to Houston? Right? What are the things that I'm looking for? So I created like my top 5 list of things that were important to me. So for me, quality of life was really important. We talked a little bit before the show started about some of the.
Hold on, because you were tired of getting parking tickets, you left us because you were tired of getting parking tickets.
I got my first parking ticket in Houston. It was $30. I paid.
Oh.
I was so excited to pay $30 versus, the $3,000 the year before. But New York is a great city. I would come back to New York if the opportunity presents itself. However, when it came to quality of life and things like alternate side of street parking and no removal, like it kind of wore on me for a little bit,
I can understand.
And so moving to a place that did not have snow, did not have those challenges was also important to me. So I created a top 5 list of things that were critical for me to make that move. And I had to really stay grounded on that top 5 because through this journey of relocation and applying for jobs at a distance, you will get a lot of rejection. So, just like with any job search. So having that list helped me during those challenging times when I got the thanks for applying, however, those kind of emails. We all know those emails, right? And so after creating that list and getting grounded on that, I did a lot of research. I cannot emphasize how important research is in this process. You're making a huge leap. You're leaving a lot behind. So knowing exactly what you're going to get yourself into is very important. So I started doing things like connecting with people on LinkedIn, on social media in general. People maybe I haven't even spoken to in a while, but I use the filters on the different platforms to figure out who did I know in Houston, who do I know in Texas, or more importantly, who do I know who knows someone in Houston or in Texas. So that was really helpful in my job search and just in getting acclimated to the city. And I think most of us have a great network. Even we may not even realize how great our network is between our fraternity or sorority. If you went to college, your church, your entire network has another network. That's why I like the whole web of LinkedIn, like your first connection and then your second and third connection. So that was really helpful in helping me secure employment here. But back to resources to get back to your topic. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm all over the place, right? But
no, we're good. I operate well on that. I operate well in that mode, so we're good.
You know what's funny? When you're relocating, you bring so much of your culture, your previous city or your hometown. So I realized that as a New Yorker, I'm a fast talker, I'm quick, and I had to slow down a little bit. Moving to Texas and moving to the South. But yeah, some of the resources that I find most helpful in my platform is really besides the logistical things like finding support on a moving company, employers who are hiring, and community, it really is just, I think that people need to understand that, like, you can do this. You can move across the country and with a lot of uncertainty, and the support that the members give each other. And I think in the space that we're in right now with the coronavirus, COVID-19, we're really understanding the importance of community and helping us, even though we're social distancing, but knowing that there are people here to really support you. And so that, I think, is the greatest resource that that the platform offers, but the other ones are really important as well. And I will talk about your recruiting support later.
Yes, we will. We'll do that offline.
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through here. You said you kind of broke your process down into 5, I guess, steps or key factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are those? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So for me, it was quality of life was number one. I knew that moving from that in this decision, that I knew that I wanted my lifestyle to change drastically. I loved the hustle and bustle and the grind that I was used to there, but I knew that I wanted to slow down just a little bit, but still have a big city feel. So when I thought about the cities I want to live in, Houston is the 4th largest city. We're going to pass Chicago very soon. But so I knew I still wanted big city living, but I didn't want it at the expense of all the things that come with living in such an expensive place. I knew that as a mother, I wanted a great school system. So finding a good school district for my son was really important. I also looked at the economy. I wanted a city that had a great economic climate. I did a lot of research around that, finding, cities that met those needs for me. And of course, lifestyle. I didn't need the fast pace anymore, but I definitely was not ready to go on the porch with a rocking chair, right? So right. Finding a city that met the needs of my lifestyle was also very important. And weather, believe it or not, like that was really, I was cold. Okay. And so that, I wanted a place that had a warmer climate. Yeah.
So people are really excited just about this, because I think people are more willing to relocate now than ever. I just think it's just the nature of who people are now. So we had a question that came in. If you don't mind, can I throw this out to you?
Go for it.
All right, great. So we were asked, are there some success stories of FTZ? I guess that's FlipThe Zip, right? For FTZ members that you can share. And how did the platform help them in securing this success story?
Oh, wow. I have a lot of success stories.
Love it.
Let me think of one. Oh, I definitely could think of 2 women who were moving from different sides of the country, both to, I believe it was Atlanta or Dallas. I can't recall right now. And they end up being roommates. They knew the transition was, moving is very expensive. Yes. We're going to get into that. Relocation is quite expensive. It's something that you definitely have to save and budget for. And they both were moving around the same time. They were both in a related industry and ended up, connecting, being roommates, and are like best friends now. And so when it came to things like holidays and all those, kind of things that you want to be around family for, they have each other. We've had a lot of success stories around employment. Okay. People will share, my job is hiring, and they will even say, you can use me as a resource or as a reference, a referral. Yeah. And so those are the 2 ones that pop out most, but I would say at least twice a week, someone would share a very lengthy post about how the community helped with them, just restoring like faith in the belief that they can actually do it because they see other people's stories and testimonials, and then documenting their journey on the platform with others.
We just dropped a polling question, and basically it revolves around the most important factors when it comes to relocating for your career. But I know that you've broken down some power moves that you have that kind of factor into people's decision making. You want to walk through those and kind of the relationship and the story behind them? Yes,
I do. I see that one of the first opportunities to respond is salary. So Ken, this is unpopular to say, when I moved from New York to Houston, 2 things I did that are quite different. I moved without a job. which was a big risk. I really bet on myself when it came to that. I did have a place to stay, and I did have rent-free. The amazing couple let me stay with them rent-free
Nice.
for 6 weeks while I transitioned. And I did a pretty good job in saving exclusively for my relocation. So I did a lot of like cutting back on things, cable, eating out, things of that nature. Entertainment. I didn't realize how much, living in New York, entertainment is a big part of your budget.
Yes.
So I did. So I moved without a job, but I did a lot of footwork before getting here, and I realized that in the industry I'm in education, nonprofit, that people do want to, see you and touch you and feel you. So I knew that once I got here, that I would be able to land a job within 6 weeks. I also took a pay cut. So I took a $24,000 pay cut moving.
Oh, okay.
However, I never felt a penny of it, ever.
Really?
Yes. And that is because Texas is does not have state income tax. Okay. So, I was paying a substantial amount of money living in New York City and working in New York City and paying, New York state income tax. It was over $500 a month. So I never felt the pay cut. And I want people to, really understand that you have to really, in the research process, do your homework and figure out taxes. One of my favorite resources for that is, I think it's called Smart, I wrote a note, Paycheck City and Smart Asset. They allow you to do a paycheck calculator. So if an employer says, okay, you're going to make $90,000 a year, you put that in and it breaks down how much your actual paycheck will be after taxes, because that's kind of hard to figure out sometimes.
So tell me this. Is there like a link to that on your site?
I believe so, and if not, it will be at the end of this. I'm almost positive that it is the end of the research.
Because that seems like a great resource, right?
Yes. ADT also has a paycheck calculator as well, but I really needed to know exactly how much I was going to bring in. I also knew that my living expenses would also decrease. My rent in New York versus my rent in Houston was about $400 different. So it was a pay cut in number, but was not a pay cut in lifestyle or what I brought home every month.
It's interesting because another question just came in, and it's basically, how do you make moves without a job? I don't know if that's a question that someone's asking, or they're just saying, wow, Skyra, how did you really decide to do that without a job, right? Because you just stated that you made the move without having an actual opportunity in hand.
Yeah, like I said, I had savings, I had faith in myself, I had faith in God, and I did a lot of work. It wasn't like it wasn't so spontaneous, right? Like I do consider myself risk-taking, but I'm not reckless. And I think there's a difference. I took the risk and bet on myself, but I did a lot of homework beforehand and knew I would be able to live. They all say we should have 6 to 8 months or 6 to 9 months worth of savings. So I did do that.
Wow. Okay. Great.
Yeah. It was a big leap. It was a big leap.
Speaking of leaps, I'm just seeing the results from the poll. And basically, people are saying that quality of life is the most important reason for them to make a move. I'm actually surprised by that. Does that surprise you at all?
Not at all. No. What makes it surprising for you?
I just figured it would be salary. Go get the money. But that's what I'm pitching all the time. I think I'm pitching a great salary, or at least the opportunity.
I'm curious of the respondents, like what stage of their career that they're in. I think when I was, younger, in my early, I'm old, but in my early 20s, I had the mindset of more of like small fish, big pond. It's okay that I am one of millions in a large city because I'm in a prestigious place or, employer. I'm getting a lot of training. and I think some people need to consider the idea of big fish in a small pond, moving to smaller markets like Arkansas, which Pipe we'll talk about later, versus in New York. Like you may be able to climb that ladder faster in a smaller market, and then you can move back to New York if you choose to. Like flips do not have to be forever. I talk about that all the time. I have a little bit of a gypsy mindset of moving around often, but it doesn't have to be forever. And sometimes you need to go somewhere and to get the the title you want, get the experience you want, and move to wherever you want after that.
So that's interesting, because that's kind of the piece where you were speaking in your power moves about relocating for career advancement.
Yes, yes, and that's exactly how I would capture it. Figuring out, really knowing where your industry is thriving. If I were to think of, for instance, tech, you got automatically think of like your Austins, and you think of your Bay Area, and like the North Pacific. But then Atlanta now has a pretty thriving tech community, and even like Houston is building out a tech ecosystem. So figuring out, where your career is thriving, where your industry, is thriving, and then once you create that list, okay, well, where can I be? Whatever you want. Where you want to be, small fish, big pond, or big fish in a small pond.
Sure, definitely. So of course, if you're relocating for career advancement, then there's also the flip of that. People that are simply relocating for career change, like you said, maybe there's a stronger ecosystem there.
Right. That's really it's very common that people, when you're thinking about a career change, are also thinking like, well, let me start this over in a new city. The challenge I find often when I'm talking to members or clients about career changing is that they have to realize that they're, to some degree, for some of them, are starting over. And when you're coming to a new city, you're not only starting over in terms of your career change, but also you may not have gained that reputation, right? So when you live in one city, you've kind of worked that network so much where people know, oh yeah, of course I know Ken, right? And so you move to a new place, you have to build that over again. And so that's why a lot of the footwork that I talk about that I did way before moving to Houston was done. I did the emails. I asked for the warm introductions for people I don't know. I started following all the people that were related to my industry and to my city, so that I wasn't coming in so brand new. I had a pretty good scope of the land before actually arriving here.
I love it. All right. So we have another question that came in, and this individual is stating that they're an attorney and they're interested in relocating internationally. Ooh. How would you suggest planning to relocate internationally?
Wow. That's a great question. I would definitely say I'm a big person about, obviously I build a group, so around community and finding out and building out a community before you arrive. So FlipThe Zip is a great resource for international moves, as well as there are other platforms that you can connect with to do that. There are a lot of abroad groups that I would suggest on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you're moving and you already have a job in a new country, a lot of those companies have relocation specialists. We haven't really talked about that yet, but relocation specialists are amazing in helping you with everything from like your legal part of the relocation in terms of your green card, visa, that kind of stuff. And then also in actually the actual move and housing, I'm assuming employment's already secured. So that's where I would start with that, is to look at finding the relocation specialist for your organization.
I'm looking at some of these questions, wow, and I'm amazed. Thank you everyone for chiming in with some great questions. This is really the lifeline of the Digital Career Success Series, the questions that we get from you. So thank you so very much. Skyra, I have another question, and they want to know, did you let a lot of people know you were going to relocate? Why or why not?
Okay, so yes and no. I did not post about it. I know that's a thing that comes often. I did not make it a social media telling everyone, but I did tell most people in my life, because I knew that I needed the connections. I know that I needed the support. I think we're at a stage in life where we should not be holding on to people who are not really our cheerleaders and our talk to people. So me sharing with other people, I didn't have the fear of sabotage. I know some people have this move in silence. That didn't work for me. I really needed the connections. I needed the support, and I need to get loved up on, because I was scared to death, like most people are. Yeah. And so I did choose to tell people. I did not make it public on social media until very close to me actually moving. But my inner circle and the people that I knew that could support me in my move, they were aware. So, good question. But great question.
Yeah, I think it's a great question as well. I'm going to ask you this question, and if you choose not to answer it, I get it. But we received a question, and they said that you had mentioned you have a son.
Yes.
How has he adjusted to the move?
Oh, yeah. Kids are so resilient. I think that oftentimes as parents, we're very concerned. And I know people say, oh, I'll wait till my child's 18. I'm like, but he's 8. You're going to wait 10 years to put your life on hold, you know? And so it's just fun. It's amazing how resilient kids are. With technology, their ability to stay connected to their friends is so much greater than, you know, when I was 8 and I moved
Right.
across the country from Brooklyn to the Bay Area. So yeah, kids are a lot more resilient than when we believe. It's important to really build a community. As soon as you get here, other mothers, other parents. I can't even imagine if he was, you know, 5 and this coronavirus stuff was going on and there's no school and I still kind of have to work, you know, and so I have to work. I'm just joking, but you know, you know, like so. So to answer your question, he's done amazing. I made sure that I got him really connected to his loves, which are sports. As soon as we got here, he's built his own, you know, his own little circle of support here, a circle of friends here. But that's a great question. But I do not.
If we know anything, we do know that Houston, they love their sports in Texas, right?
Yes, and that's important. You have to respect and understand the culture.
Yep.
I had to learn that. I learned that very quickly, very quickly. And also, I would say, to kind of piggybacking on that, comparison is a theft of joy is really true. If I were to compare everything to New York, or if the viewers are comparing everything that they know to their new city, it will rob you of the joy of what they has to offer.
That's a valid point. That's a
Yeah.
valid point. So I have a question for you. This is just a personal question that I have.
Okay.
I had spoke about, you know, even people moving within their own cities. So, you know, like earlier today, we were speaking about the Bay Area in general and the difference in maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes. And that holds true for New York City. That holds true, I'm sure, for Texas as well. Do you find people using your platform even when they're moving within the same metropolitan area?
Yes, they do. I mean, it's not as common, honestly, but they will have experience in moving from, let's say, from from a Brooklyn to well, Poughkeepsie, not 30 minutes away, but you know, in the same region, in a hour drive, I mean, hour and a half drive. People do use the platform for that. Absolutely.
Listen, I have people that aren't interested in moving from Brooklyn to Harlem or Harlem to Brooklyn. Not even Poughkeepsie. I'm just across the city. It's the same train line. But so I get it, right? I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. But then it becomes, you start to get engaged in a quality of life conversation, right? Because as I had mentioned, that was the highest response on the poll, coming in at 64%, quality of life over salary. So.
Right.
And you weren't surprised by that at all. You kind of see that bearing out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I think that, you know, it impacts, like, what's the money mean if you're not happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's a $10,000 difference if you get to pick up your child from school versus not? And so, you know, you really have to weigh in not only where you are in your stage of life as a person, but even as you're in your career, and that will really support how you view quality of life and how important it is to us.
Got you.
And lifestyle is really a big thing too.
Lifestyle is huge, right? Lifestyle is huge.
And it was the first time outside of my 4 years in undergrad in Alabama that I haven't lived like within 10 minutes of water, right? So you have to like know what is important to you. Like
okay, like bodies of water.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm like, okay, hold on. What are you talking about?
Yeah, body. Thank you for that correction. Yeah. But so if you are into for Houston's a very flat city, but if I was really a big outdoorsy, I wouldn't be happy here. I would want to move to Austin, where there's mountains and lakes, and so really factoring in lifestyle is really important. I really miss walking,
Right.
And if that's something that's important to you, like going back to your top 5 list, I kept it at 5, but some people can go as far as 10 or longer, and really sticking to like what is it that you actually need to fulfill that flip, to make that flip very purposeful, intentional, and make you happy.
Wow. All
Support
right.
your happiness, not
So,
make you
so,
happy.
so we're going to flip back to the business side of it because a question came in about this.
Okay.
Is it wise to consider positions that do not offer relocation assistance?
It is wise, and relocation assistance, unfortunately, is not as common as it used to be. And I'm curious, as kind of in our current climate, to see how that impacts the fact that most of us can work from home. So I'm curious to see how companies respond to that. But yes, it's worth the conversation. I always say ask anyway. You'll
Okay.
be surprised that maybe it's just a sign-on bonus, maybe it's a complete package, a per diem. Like, you never know what they may offer, but I always say at the least ask for it.
You know, I think that's great advice. And this is just coming from a recruiting lens, right?
Yeah.
Often when organizations or companies are interested in you,
Mhm.
they can find creative ways to support and assist you in making that move possible, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that gets lost in our anxiety about making the move anyway,
Yeah.
right? So it's like an all or nothing thing. Like, all right, I can't do it. Oh, slow down just a little. Let's start asking some questions and
Yeah.
see, what we can do. Let's go to FlipThe Zip and see what it's really like out here in this particular area. So I can understand that. All right, so you brought up something really interesting, and before even we get to this conversation with Piper, I just want to kind of speak to you about this, and it's the elephant in the room, right? Right now, we're just dealing with this COVID-19. The coronavirus is serious, right?
Yeah.
So people are asking, uh, do you see any creative ways to overcome the hurdles during this pandemic? Um,
Hmm.
People are having some difficulty with exploring positions because they're seeing them evaporate already. Advice for people is they're starting to navigate a situation of which we've never seen before.
Yeah, this is really uncharted space for us, especially, right now, and and people are in crisis. People are in shock and really unsure of like what the next move is, literally. Um, I think it's a great opportunity to get grounded, to figure out. I think it's a great research time, honestly, to see what opportunities are out there. Or you can the good thing about the internet, excuse me, is that you can look at things that were maybe even a month out. Like, what were things that companies were hiring for a month out? What are the details and things of that nature? When I talk about the planning about relocation, it's a great time for planning. If you're in a career that requires a certification or a licensure, and that takes time because state organizations are closed and licensure boards are closed, now's a good time to at least get the application started, to figure out what it is that you need to apply for that position. I would also take the opportunity to do some distant learning, get a quick certification or something to make yourself more marketable while you have this, like, quote unquote downtime.
Sure.
Definitely a great time to reconnect people that you haven't spoken to, just to like check in, see how they are, rewarm that relationship, and for that possible ask that you may have in a couple of months. But now's the time to really, I would say, like, I keep on saying, like, to be still, get grounded, and really just connect to, your next stage. I hope that answers the question.
No, yeah, I believe that answers the question. I think the foundation of the answer is it's uncharted territory, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of explore ways to connect, even if it's through, well, it's typically right now going to be through electronic means, but just find ways to connect, stay connected, and do things with your time. So I think you answered the question. All right,
I think companies are going to look at this and really reevaluate what positions can be done remotely, which I really believe is most of them.
well,
So
I saw something on social media last night, and they said, "Oh, just when your company told you that you couldn't do your job remotely,
right,
right? So
right,
now you're forced to." Uh,
exactly.
Unbelievable. All right, so I want to speak to you about this, right?
Okay.
What's the formula for cost of living? There seems to be a belief that New York City is astronomically more expensive than a lot of secondary cities in our markets. So organizations will think salary cut is no big deal because it's cheaper to live where they're sending you to. How do people play that out?
So I did a spreadsheet before during my flip, and I used Mint, and I connected to my bank account to kind of just figure out where am I spending money already.
Okay.
And then I just did research, because I mean there are some cost living index websites that you can find, but then you have to kind of figure out for your own being, like what you spend money on, right? Like your own lifestyle. And then I started looking up like what the cost of those things were in my new city. So for instance, for me, it's in Houston, and I did a comparison that way. I did a very old school, and I, even though I took a pay cut, I would say that I've gotten a couple raises since then. But a big myth I think that people believe is that, especially if you're coming from I'll say like the Northeast in general, that you have that you're gonna take a pay cut. Like that's actually a myth. When I compare industries that post their salaries, like nurses or educators that are kind of like common information,
Sure.
I'm surprised to see the comparison is almost equal. Like if I look at a first year teacher, for instance, in New York, and a first year teacher in Dallas, it's very comparable with completely different cost of living, right? So like the median household income or house price in Dallas, let's say, is like, I don't know, $320, right? Versus New York, got it, right? So there's no three, right? So like, I think a myth is that you have to take a pay cut. I think it depends on your industry, the time of year you're moving, and things that you can do to kind of like alleviate that and to make yourself, like I said, more marketable. Right now is a great time to kind of up some of those skills, get a great list of contacts, things of that nature.
Great. So as we kind of make our way through this segment, I'd like to ask you, Skylar, before we move on, can you repeat some of those resources you mentioned earlier that are valuable for participants? Of course, FlipThe Zip being the most important resource, right?
Yes, it is. Okay, so when it comes to knowing your paycheck, so if a company offers you a salary, you want to know how much that's going to be per paycheck in one city versus different, because of tax and things of that nature. Paycheck City is one of my favorites. Smartasset.com and ADT.com are great resources for that. When it comes to factoring in cost of living, the Council for Community Economic Research is pretty good, as well as your local Chamber of Commerce has great resources on their website, and they even offer a welcome package, which is actually like comes in the mail, and gives you like a pamphlet or a booklet on resources in your city. So I would start; those are the main ones I would think about in terms of figuring out the comparison between both cities.
Now, I know there is no competition for FlipThe Zip, but are there some other websites out there that you recommend people take a look at as they kind of process their next move?
Yeah, the only one I could think of is citydata.com or org. Can't quote me on that right now.
Okay.
That gives great insight on things regarding tax codes and elevation and flood areas, a lot of like topical geographic and demographic, diversity, like how much, population, kind of census kind of things. That City Data is a pretty good website for that. Their forums, not so much, but their information is pretty solid.
Amazing. Amazing.
Oh, and also great schools, inside schools. If you have children, they give a good foundation of, a score for the schools that are in the districts.
I'm a supporter of great schools. I looked into them when I was making a move. I thought they provided excellent information. Thank you for mentioning that, because I really do believe they provide great information. So I would imagine FlipThe Zip, you're probably updating constantly. Am I correct?
Yes, I am. Our main hub, because we realize that people check their social media more than a website, is actually Facebook. That's pretty much our main hub of information that gets the 40,000 posts and impressions a month. That's our main hub, and that's where most people will get the most bang for their buck. The website's also great, but I would recommend people to join the Facebook group FlipThe Zip.
Got you. Is there a FlipThe Zip app on the horizon?
There is a somebody was in my brain. Yes, there is a FlipThe Zip app on the horizon. I'm actually working with some developers now.
I love it. I love it. All right. So listen, it's about that time in the show where we go to Arkansas. We're just traveling all around. We're in Houston. We're in Harlem. Now we're in Arkansas with Piper Anderson of Tyson Foods.
Piper.
Hey there.
Piper, Skyra was sharing some exceptional information. She also shared that she looks at that Bentonville and I guess, what is that, Western Arkansas area?
Northwest Arkansas.
Northwest Arkansas area is a hot spot. So it sounds like you have some interesting things going on over there with Tyson Foods as well.
Yeah, so there were so many times I wanted to jump into this earlier about, the things that Skyra was talking about. I did want to let you all know that in the chat, I sent a link to Finding NWA. So for those who are not familiar with Northwest Arkansas is this hub of the United States that has Fortune 100 companies, other Fortune 500 companies here with their supplier offices to service Walmart. So the main large companies that we have here in Northwest Arkansas is Walmart, so Fortune 1, Tyson Foods, and then JB Hunt Transport. Those are the three largest organizations here. But with the Walmart office, home office here, which is bringing people from all over the world, same as Tyson Foods, to very large global companies, the supplier offices. So Procter & Gamble, they have a 300-person office here. Kraft Foods, they have a 200-person office here, right? So there's all these different offices and large organizations all in one area. And then also the University of Arkansas is here. So, so to create that, you've got retail, transportation, you've got CPG with Tyson Foods, you've got education with University of Arkansas. So it's just this really interesting area, and I'm so passionate about it. I know there were a couple of things that I wanted to cover, but I really want to focus on this relocation piece. The fact that everybody said the largest answer was quality of life. So whether you're a single parent, whether you are a dual income family, you can do that here very easily. You can go pick up your kid. My husband and I, he works at Walmart, I work at Tyson Foods. We have a little son. We can, at the drop of a hat, if he gets sick, have to go pick him up from school. We can, at a drop of a hat, go pick him up, right? Because of the flexibility of quality of life here. Most families are dual income families here because of the ease of being able to have a family, live in a nice house. Our housing market is unbelievable. People are buying right out of college, buying homes for the first time. Because you can, because the housing market is so, the interest rates are low, the cost of living is substantially low. So it's really interesting. And the past 2 years, U.S. News has identified Northwest Arkansas in the top 10 places to live. I think Huntsville, Alabama was on there. They're all smaller communities, which I think is so interesting. That is such a change from what we've seen. Denver, Colorado, I think was the biggest city that was on that list of the top places to live. So in the top 10. So we're really capitalizing off of that. And so the Finding NWA website that I posted on the chat, I highly recommend going to look at that. You can see all of Northwest Arkansas, the schools, the community, the Walton family. They've completely reinvented this Northwest Arkansas with what they've invested. There is Alice Walton. She's a daughter of Sam Walton, who started Walmart. She created one of the only American-only art museums. And everyone that she was counseling with, they said, you need to do that in New York, you need to do that in Dallas, you need to do that in these metropolitan areas. And she goes, heck no, I'm doing it in my hometown. So we actually have one of the only full American art museums that she started, that we had people from all over the country coming, or all over the world coming to build that. There's just so many things. So the artistic community culinary is really big here, is growing substantially. So Arkansas Children's Arkansas Children's Hospital is one of the top children's hospitals in the country, in Little Rock, Arkansas, which is our capital. And they've built a hospital here in Northwest Arkansas, to service people, all over the country, with, world-renowned pediatric doctors, right? So healthcare is growing. Mercy Health Systems, they've built one of the largest hospitals here in Northwest Arkansas. We just put Topgolf.
Wow.
Well, you're making it if you have a Topgolf, right?
You got me ready to flip the zip.
I know, I'm telling you. And so anyway, so I deal with a lot of relocations. I lead our corporate recruiting function, right? So here at Tyson Foods. So we have, all of our main corporate functions are here in Northwest Arkansas, whether that's finance and accounting, whether that's sales, HR, sustainability, corporate strategy, right? All these functions, and there's so many opportunities here. And when you're talking about relocation packages, I mean, we have interns that convert to full-time opportunities. We give them a lump sum to help them with that relocation, right? So we are very invested from a relocation standpoint. I'd say manager, senior manager level roles and above, we offer a full relocation package. Those packages, they equate to $75,000, right? They're really strong packages. We have a company that we outsource called Grable. It's a very common relocation company. You get your own personal relocation counselor to help you through this transition, help you set up with realtors, what to expect throughout the process. So we really do try to push that package because it is such a strong package. And there's, some miscellaneous funds that you get. So financially, it gives you a little extra as well. So Tyson is very invested in relocating people here. We know it's not the easiest market to relocate individuals for, but if we find somebody in a metropolitan area, they have the skill sets that we need, that we know we can't get here in Northwest Arkansas, we're going to pay for it, right? And we're going to help you through that process. We have so many people, we get people connected. Hey, we've recently relocated somebody from the Dallas market. Hey, let's get connected with somebody that has just recently moved from Dallas. So there's a lot of that we facilitate, especially as recruiters. Now, trailing spouses. So if you plan to, there's a great job for you, but your spouse also works. We partner with recruiters at Walmart. We partner with the recruiters at JB Hunt to help support your trailing spouse in helping them find an opportunity, which works out very well. So we understand, and we partner across the large companies here to help the family as a whole versus just that one recruit that we're recruiting. So those are just a few things that I wanted to call out. I believe on the website, they'll be posting some hot jobs. I picked a couple of roles that I know that we're searching for right now. And those will be live to you. You'll be able to see those. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. We hope to get, those that are interested in Tyson Foods and coming to Northwest Arkansas, would love to get you connected with recruiters. So that's going to be kind of the next step after this. But, I really, it's really important to know that Northwest Arkansas is a great area of the country to live. You get all seasons. So we're in the northwest part of Arkansas, so we do actually get a little bit of winter. We probably get a little bit more ice than we do snow, but you do get each season, which is great. So I think from a quality of life perspective, I love it. I'm originally from northern New Jersey myself and live here in Northwest Arkansas, came to school here and absolutely loved it. And I've built roots here. My husband's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he is, shout out to Pittsburgh, he is relocated here for Walmart and absolutely loves it here. We've decided to raise our family here, and this is where we plan to stay. We get so many phone calls at Tyson of people that came to work and they're like, oh, I'll go live in Bentonville, get Walmart experience, say they're from Procter & Gamble. Hey, I'll go get my Walmart sales experience and then I'll go back. Well, most people call us and say, hey, we want to stay.
Sure.
A lot of people, and that's the vibe that I get from a lot of individuals in this industry, is that they want to stay here in Northwest Arkansas. It's easy living, but there's it's easy living and it's low cost of living. And so I'll get off my soapbox.
No, listen, you sold me on the Northwest Arkansas experience, and
I
I
love
know,
it. I'm very passionate about it.
I know for a fact that the National Urban League team, they were proactive in putting jobs up, new opportunities as well, up on the nuljobsnetwork.com website, so people, attendees, can go on and get a first look at those jobs and then circle back and connect with you and your team over at Tyson Foods. So we just appreciate all that you guys do. And man, you got me looking in the Northwest Arkansas already.
Come on, we'd love to have
you know what?
you.
Between you and Skyra, I'm serious. I'm going to flip the zip. We're going to have like an East Coast Executives Northwest Arkansas location or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I love it.
Thank you so very much for checking in. Thank you to Tyson Foods for being such a gracious sponsor. I know that you have a lot going on right now with everything that's going on with this pandemic. So I don't want to hold you any longer, but we really appreciate you chiming in. Thank you so very much.
Really appreciate it.
Skyra, I want to talk to you real quick again, if you don't mind. Okay. All right, listen. So people are excited about the possibility of this app. So I'm going to ask you to, one, commit to us that you indeed will keep us updated on when the Flip the Zip app will come out so we can share it with the attendees. And also, please let the attendees know how they can connect with you.
Okay, so you can connect with me on Flip the Zip, flip_the_zip on Instagram, Twitter. You can connect on Facebook, of course, Flip the Zip up at our group. We also, I didn't mention, I failed to mention this, that our larger network areas have chapters that actually host meetups, and it's a smaller community. So there's there's Flip the Zip New York chapter, just Flip the Zip Houston, Charlotte, Dallas, Raleigh, I'm forgetting one, DMV, and Phoenix. And so those chapters operate in a lot more of like a community base in terms of, mostly meetups and hanging out when you first relocate, when you first Flip the Zip. Excellent. So those are, and of course the website, www.flipthezip.com.
I love it. I love it. Listen, we did it again. Another amazing edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series today with Skyra Thomas of FlipTheZip.com. Listen, I completely understand that you guys come here to get information, and we're here to share information. But in today's climate right now with the coronavirus pandemic going on, I'm just so appreciative of all the people that checked in, still asking questions, still excited about opportunities to just interact and just be out here. So thank you so very much for that. I want to give a shout out to Wanda Jackson, Theveline Felix, and the National Urban League team, because wow, did we put the stress on them today to make this happen. Skyra's in Houston, I'm in New York City, but we pulled it off. And Piper's in Northwest Arkansas, as we know, right? But we pulled it off, and we plan on doing it again on April 8th when we come back with better balance. And that's really all about kind of balancing your career, your job responsibilities, and life. And I think that's really important now for people to have a work-life balance, because work-life changes daily in this current time. So that'll be April 8th. We'll have Tiffany Sutherland, I don't know, maybe in studio, but just maybe coming on us on the virtual feed. But either way it goes, we'll be here for you April 8th. I want to thank everybody. My name is Kenneth L. Johnson. Again, thank you to Skyra Thomas, the NUL team, and of course you, the attendees, for hanging out with us today. Thank you so very much, and be safe.